Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Bigakar Ahmed, and welcome to today's video. Today, we're going to be going ahead and playing around with ChatGPT. We are asking ChatGPT today questions about Israel. Is it an apartheid state? About the religion and atheism within Israel, about the media, about other countries that do recognize Palestine or don't recognize Palestine, and exactly just specific questions about the conflict and things of that nature. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So we got ChatGPT pulled up here, and the first question I'm going to go ahead and ask GPT is, first off, let me tell ChatGPT to calm down a little bit because ChatGPT likes to give very, very long and, non-biased answers, like where it would give two outcomes and kind of debate that both of them are right depending on how you're looking at it, even though there's only one objective truth to a lot of it. So let me just tell ChatGPT in the beginning, can you please answer as objective as possible and pick one side? Like a human and not a robot. Keep things natural. Okay. Do not give a very long answer. Does this work if you tell the bot this? Will it like actually like try be as human as possible and not give long answers and be more objective than like understood? I'll keep my responses short to point. Okay. Sounds good. First question I have for you is, let me do this. Is Israel an apartheid state? All right, let's see what ChatGPT has to go with here. I see. So the chatbot still gave me two answers. This is a lot shorter than what it usually is. Those who argue yes point to Semitic policies that occupied Palestine territories, such as restrictions on movement, unequal legal systems, land confiscation, comparing them to an apartheid-era South Africa. Groups like Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International use them in term to describe these conditions. Those who say no emphasize Israel's democratic system, its diverse citizenry, and equal rights legally grant the Arab citizens distinguished from this apartheid institutions racial segregation. The label depends largely on how one interprets international law and specific policies in question. That is not true. An apartheid state is when someone is basically specifically keeping another group of people down, not giving them the same amount of rights, not giving them the same amount of access of things within the state of Israel. So, yes, I understand that in Tel Aviv, there's Arabs that live there and have citizenships. Yes. But literally in the West Bank and in Gaza, which are basically a part of Israeli territory, they are occupied by Israel. They are controlled by Israel. The water supply, the electricity, the food, everything that comes in and out is occupied by them. And there's illegal settlers living in the West Bank, Jewish people living in Palestinian housing and land. So I understand that, yes, in Israel, an Arab can get an Israeli passport and live in Israel and work in Israel, and they're basically under the same democracy as everyone else. But there is an apartheid system that's happening. So, ChatGPT, I'm really, really curious to know why you're being so left or right. If apartheid has a definition, why are you giving two answers? It is either an apartheid state or not. I know I'm right. Objectively, the term of apartheid is Israel's policy, the most specifically. Okay, let me just let it speak to me.
You're right. Apartheid has a legal definition under international law, specifically the 1973 International Convention on Apartheid and the 1998 Rome Statute. It refers to inhumane acts like segregation and oppression committed systematically by one racial group over another to dominate them. Objectively, the term apartheid applies only if Israel's policies meet this specific legal definition. Some reports argue that Israeli practices in the occupied Palestinian territories, e.g., unequal legal systems, movement restrictions, align with apartheid. However, Israel and its supporters reject this, claiming the policies stem from security concerns, not racial domination. So, whether it fits the definition depends on how you evaluate these claims under international law.
Is this for security? There's security concerns. Why occupy the West Bank? There's no Hamas. There's no nothing there. Why occupy the West Bank if it's for security concerns? If it's for security concerns, why do you let 1 million, 2 million Arabs in Israel have Israeli passports and work and live in Israel if it's for security concerns? If you're worried about security, you wouldn't give 2 million Arabs citizenship, right? So, I don't believe that mumbo jumbo. You're scared of the West Bank, but you're not scared of the 2 million Arabs that live within your society that have passports and can travel freely in and out of Israel. That doesn't make much sense. The Israeli government justifies the presence in the West Bank as necessary. Here, I'll just let her read it.
The Israeli government justifies its presence in the West Bank as necessary for national security and historical religious claims. Security-wise, it argues that controlling the territory prevents attacks from groups like Islamic Jihad or other militants operating there. Additionally, the West Bank is viewed as a strategic buffer zone with concerns about potential threats if Israel fully withdraws. Critics argue that the occupation is not just about security, but also about territorial expansion, citing settlements and infrastructure that entrench control over the area. Hamas's absence in the West Bank doesn't negate Israel's broader security doctrine, which sees the territory as vital to its long-term safety.
Okay. What I'm seem to not understanding here is the definition of apartheid. Since ChatGPT doesn't understand it, I'm kind of confused here. Because apartheid is when you are legally controlling a specific group of people based on them being a specific group of people. So the Israelis are controlling the Palestinians because they're Palestinian. Israel makes the claim that no, we're not. We're controlling the Palestinians and we are a borderline apartheid state because of self-defense. It has nothing to do with any of this stuff. Look, all these Arabs have passports here. So they use this idea of democracy and Arabs living within their country as a scapegoat to saying we're not an apartheid state because we're only controlling the West Bank and moving illegal settlers in and controlling Gaza, and it's an open air prison, and we control the water and electricity that goes in and out of these places, and we control the funding, and we kick people out of their homes and we move new people in, even though it's not our land to occupy, but we occupy it illegally for our safety, and then we move illegal Jewish Israeli settlers into the West Bank, into these areas that we're not allowed to under international law. That's not apartheid. I guess that's for self-defense as well. Moving in hundreds of Jewish people into the West Bank is for self-defense. They're trying to build a wall maybe of, Israelis so that the Palestinians get past them, like a wall of neighborhoods. I don't know. But that's apartheid, in my opinion. There's nothing self-defense about moving Jewish settlers into territories that aren't theirs. And that's just colonialization, like colonizing the land. You're just colonizing the land, and you're attacking a specific group of people. Under definition, that is apartheid. So, like ChatGPT said here, you're right. Apartheid has a legal definition under international law specified in 1973. First, inhumane acts, segregation, and oppression committed systematically on one racial group dominate them. If we're talking about Israel, that describes Israel to a T. Now, if someone wants to go ahead and argue that because Israel is a democracy, that it's not apartheid, that's crazy to me. Like, it doesn't matter if it's communism, doesn't matter if it's a monarchy. It doesn't matter if it's, a democracy. It doesn't matter how it's ran. It can very much be apartheid at the end of the day. So, ChatGPT, I don't know too much about your answer here. I understand you try to come off a little more biased and not like, not like direct, like a human being that's like super biased. You come off more broad on these situations, try to give both perspectives. But I do appreciate you for keeping it a little bit more short and, what's it called? And I can't believe I'm saying that. I appreciate this robot. It's kind of interesting where life has come to at this point. So, is Israel atheist? Let me just let the bot know that I'm moving on to a new question. Is Israel's population mostly atheist? No, Israel's population is not mostly atheist. The majority of Israel's identity as Jewish, and among them, many observe various levels of religious practices. However, a significant portion of the Jewish population is secular and non-religious. So, according to recent estimates, around 40 to 50% of Jews in Israel consider themselves secular, while the rest are religious, ranging from traditional to more orthodox. In addition to Jewish Israelis, there is a substantial Arab population, about 20% of whom are Muslim, with similar Christian and Jewish communities. Smaller Christian and Jewish communities. Okay, so something I want to touch on here, which is very, very interesting to me. Israel is a land that is claimed is for the Jewish people. It was given to the Jewish people by God Almighty. And that's their land given to them by God. So it's very interesting that 40 to 50% of the population, so half of the Jewish population of Israel, that are the chosen people of God, that are chosen to be, born better than everyone else. Their soul is illuminating and it's connected to the Lord. And they're put here on this planet for the sole purpose to teach the world about God Almighty and the covenants of God and how to follow God and how to get close to God. And that's their job. Is to bring the Gentiles closer to God and to be our rulers on this earth. It's very interesting that 50% of them, half of them, don't even care about the religion, don't believe in God, and just live democratic. I go to work, I make money, I have sex, I go out on the weekends, I party lifestyles. Like, it's very, very interesting that 50% of the country is like liberal America, and the other half is religious, but this is a land given to these people by God. These are the chosen people of God. But yet, they use this idea that this is their land because God gave it to them. But 50% of them don't even care about God, follow God, listen to God, interact with God, or even believe in God. So I find that very interesting. What is the percentage of atheists in the population of Israel? The percentage of atheists in Israel is hard to pinpoint precisely. Estimates suggest that 20 to 25% of the Jewish population identifies as secular or non-religious, which includes a portion of many identify as atheists. So why did ChatGPT just give me two different numbers now? So why in the world did it just say to me that a significant portion of the Jewish population is secular and non-religious? According to recent estimates, 40 to 50% of Jews consider themselves secular. Okay? Then here it says, estimates suggest that about 20 to 25% of Jewish population identify as secular and non-religious. In broader terms, Israel is a country with a high proportion of secular individuals, but full atheism or outright rejection of belief in God is less common than secularism. Okay, so my question here, right? Is it 20? Okay, what can I type? my computer freeze? Or am I not allowed to talk to Jetbot anymore? I'm gonna wait. Yeah, there we go. It's back. Why did you say 40 to 50%, then change the statistic to 20 to 25%? You're right on that point. Okay, so yes, please clarify for me.
You're right to point that out. My initial answer was too broad. The percentage of secular Jews in Israel is closer to 40 to 50%, which includes both non-religious and those who might not actively practice, but still identify culturally with Judaism. However, the specific number of atheists, people who explicitly reject belief in God, is generally estimated to be around 20 to 25%. So, to clarify, 40 to 50% of Israelis may identify as secular, but only 20 to 25% would likely identify as atheist. Thank you for catching that.
Yeah. So that clears it up. So 50% of the population identifies as secular. They don't really care about, practicing the beliefs in God and whatnot. They just believe that, God gave them that land. They have the right to live there. They have the right to return to a land that they never lived to begin with. So congratulations to 50% of the population for being absolutely out of their mind bonkers. That is supremacy at that point. So there's a difference between a Jewish person who actually follows their religion, believes in the prophets, believe they come from the bloodline of the prophets, believe that that land is given to them by God, and that's their God-given right. There's a difference between that, and there is a major difference between 50% of a population believing the same exact thing as what I just said about God giving them this land, but they don't believe in God, they don't care about God, they don't follow God, but they believe that somehow this land is gifted to them by God. This is the most hypocritical and opposite way of thinking that I've ever seen in my life. That's supremacy. And this is a problem. So the problem here doesn't seem like it's Judaism. The problem here doesn't seem like it's Israel. The problem seems like it's like Jewish supremacy, right? And there's another interview that I'll go ahead and touch on later on. But like, it's Jewish supremacy. That's supremacy at its finest. So like, I'm better than all you people just because I say so. And the people who don't even believe in God, who are Jewish, believe the same thing. So I always thought like, hey, you know what? Benefit of the doubt, that's their religion, man. Like if God chose my group of people, in my lineage, in my tribe, to spread the message of God, and we're in all the holy books and all these different things, right? The Israelites, we come from the family of the greatest men to ever live, the prophets of God from the line of Abraham. So, yes, I would feel some type of pride. I'd feel some type of goodness in me. I'd be like, God chose me, God. And that's a great thing. That's a great thing to feel. But the fact that 50% of your population doesn't even care, and you're still occupying everything, and you're still terrorizing things, it just shows like you don't care. You just want to colonize and colonize and colonize and colonize and colonize and colonize. And this idea that you're better than everyone else definitely doesn't come from God, because most of you guys don't even believe or care about God. It's a systematic supremacy that is taking place here. There's no difference between the Nazis. There's no difference between the Americans in the early 1700s. There's no difference between any of this stuff. It's supremacy. It's one group of people thinking they're better than another group of people just because. And it's very, very, very sad to see this today, in today's day and age, that there's supremacy that happens all over the world, not just in Israel. There's supremacy that happens everywhere. There's white supremacy, there's black supremacy, there's Arab supremacy, there's Asian supremacy, there's supremacy everywhere. But the biggest effect that is being placed on this earth is Jewish supremacy. A lot of them, they control the banks, they control the biggest companies on this planet. Like, who's controlling Apple, who's controlling Disney, who's controlling CNN, who's controlling all your media sources, who's controlling all your social network companies, like who's Mark Zuckerberg, who controls Meta, who's Elon Musk, that controls rockets, SpaceX, who controls brain chips that goes into your head, who controls computers that are going to come into your home, who controls all of this information. The Jewish population, the people that go ahead and run this, or the Jewish population, who owns Chase Bank, a Jewish man. So at the end of the day, yes, these individuals who are Zionist or Israeli, they believe that this world is chosen for them. The world is for them, not just Israel. Trust me. You go talk to a lot of these people, they'll tell you the world is theirs, not just Israel, because that's their belief system. But it's very, very funny because they're told that religiously, but on a logical scale, they don't like they're just liberals. Like 50% of them are liberal, 25% of them are atheist. How is 1/4 of your population atheist? They don't believe in God, but the land was given to you by God. Like, that's some next level, like, craziness, in my opinion. That's really, really crazy to me. And it really, really throws me off. So, I'm going to go ahead and steer the question away from Israel for 1 second. And I'm going to ask a question that I'm actually just curious about. How many countries recognize Palestine? So, we got 2 responses here. As of June of 2024, 146 out of 193 United Nations member states recognize the state of Palestine. This includes recent recognitions by Spain, Ireland, and Norway. Notably, countries like the United States, Canada, and most Western European nations have not extended formal recognition. So, interesting, 146 out of 193, which is going to be 193. 75% of the world countries go ahead and agree that Palestine is recognized. Okay, the other 25% are controlled by, guess who? You guessed it. So these Zionists control the industries, they control the banking systems, they control the companies in the European countries and the Western countries, and this is why they don't recognize Palestine. They won't recognize Palestine, even though, like, they're the ones who literally controlled Palestine over 100 years ago, and it was called Palestine. So I find it very, very interesting that they don't recognize something that was called Palestine. They called Palestine, and they actually colonized and controlled. So this one over here says now 130 countries recognize Palestine as a state. This includes most of Africa. However, most of the United States. Okay, let's say I prefer this response. I could just flip between them. Okay, I can just flip between them. So it gave me 2 different responses. So that's really, really, really big to think about, guys. 146 out of 193 countries recognize Palestine and stand against what Israel's doing. How many of these countries believe Israel is an apartheid state? How many countries claim Israel is committing genocide? I have to fix my spelling here. I know the chat bot will be able to go through my spelling, but terrible spelling. I need to go back to school. They're targeted for South America. South America filed the case in International Court of Justice. It accident concerned countries rejected. This is also not true. It searched one site, as you can see. So it pulled it from one site. I don't know why it did that. I don't know why it's pulling from sites now, and it's not trying to give me a more formal answer. But it's very, very, very interesting. It gave me Human Rights Watch information. So we'll go with it. I'll take the answer. But that's not true. A lot of countries have come out, their presidents have come out and claimed that Israel is committing a genocide and it needs to stop. So this is 100% not true. Now, as a formal justification of Israel committing a genocide, on paper, I'm not quite sure how many documents you have to sign to claim a country's doing genocide. But I've heard more than one president, especially from that's not South Africa, that has claimed that this is a genocide. So I just want to go ahead and ask that. Does the media lie? Let's see. The media can sometimes present biased or inaccurate information, whether intentionally or due to limitations of the constraints of lack of investigation. However, it's important to recognize the media outlets vary in reliability, and many strive for accuracy. Critical thinking and cross-referencing sources, considering multiple viewpoints, can help mitigate the impact of misinformation and sensationalism. So, This is going ahead and telling you guys right now that yes, the media can 100% lie. The most important thing you can do as an individual human being, an individual person, is to keep yourself actively critically thinking, keep yourself cross-referencing multiple sources so you have all of the information around a specific subject and you can piece together what is the most logical or what is the most understandable thing that's happening and consider multiple viewpoints. Just really think about everything's happening. That's why I'm here. I'm asking the ChatGPT about Israel, about it being an apartheid state, and trying to figure out things from an Israeli viewpoint as well as, the other side. So when it comes down to information, when it comes down to everything like this, you cannot just see one thing and then base your things on that. You have to take all aspects, all different viewpoints, all different things, and kind of put them together using that. So yeah, be very careful with the media and make sure you are critically thinking. This is some of the best advice that anything has ever given me, to be completely honest with you. It's telling you don't trust anything. The media is there to tell you the truth, but don't trust anything. Use your critical thinking skills, cross-reference sources, consider multiple viewpoints, and it'll help you mitigate the impact of misinformation and all of these other things. Like you getting excited or you seeing this misinformation, just believing it right away. Keep your brain active. Don't just scroll through TikTok and absorb everything. Study different subjects, study different points on those subjects, and debate yourself essentially about specific subjects. So, yeah. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and call it right there. I got some pretty good information. I wanted to know if Israel is an apartheid state. The chatbot kind of contradicted itself twice as I was talking to it. Once with the percentage of people who are liberal within Israel or have this like liberal viewpoint, and then when it was trying to tell me that 25% of the population were like liberal and they were secular liberals, and it was talking about atheism, for instance. So it gave me two different statistics of the same exact thing. So then when I asked it, it said no, 50% of Israel's population is like liberal, secular, and they're not religious. But only 25% are atheists, which I also found is very shocking, that a country that is given to a specific group of people by God, a group of people who are chosen by God, 25% of the population doesn't believe in God. In the capital cities, like for instance in Jerusalem or in Tel Aviv, there's nude clubs. You can go in there naked and get drunk and grind on each other. In the holy city where the prophets walk, where Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him, walked. This is what they do in their holy cities. Or if you go to Saudi Arabia, you want to go to Mecca, you'll never find anything like that. It's actually insane to witness what these people have done to the Holy Land. Like, this is a holy land, and they treat it like it's a party place. And it's very sad to see that this is what they've done with their chosen identity of God, is to stop believing in God and half the country to stop even practicing their religion. But it is what it is. Israel is an apartheid state. They are completely controlling another region or another country that is within their country, a group of people that is within their country, through force, through controlling their water supply, through controlling their electricity, through illegally occupying their land, through illegally moving settlers in that do not belong there onto their land, breaking international law, committing war crimes against them. So there's no doubt that it is an apartheid state. It's very sad to see that ChatGPT is also a Zionist and is scared to go ahead and give a defiant answer, but tries to play both grounds. It's also good that ChatGPT tries to play both grounds. But before we started the conversation, I did want ChatGPT to be a little bit more biased, based on like being like a human and kind of using more of an emotional stance. It didn't give me very extensive answers like it usually would, so I do appreciate that it gave me shorter answers and made it a little bit easier for me to get through these questions. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this, and let me know if you guys want me to do this again. This was a very fun experiment here. And I like trying ChatGPT with all different types of questions, with Islam, with Christianity, with Israel, with a lot of different things. So if you guys have any more, topics that you can think of, go ahead and list them down below. Thank you for coming in today. God bless every single one of you. And until next time, free Palestine, free Lebanon, free the whole entire world from this disease of deception. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum. and God bless. Bye bye.